Corey and Jeffrey were brothers who had both studied in medical school. Unfortunately, neither of them wanted to work hard or hold a proper job. Jeffrey, the younger one, was also a bit slow-witted. To make a living, Corey started doing something illegal, selling human organs on the black market. To make himself look more like a real paramedic, he secretly modified an ambulance. He even installed a high-end interception system. They often hid out in the wilderness, monitoring emergency calls for patients in distress. Once they locked onto a target, they would knock the person out and take the organs they needed. One day, while Corey was explaining medical knowledge to his brother, they suddenly received a distress signal from a couple. The two brothers rushed to the couple's house as fast as they could. When they saw that the man's wife was injured, Corey lied and said he would take her to the hospital for treatment, but when the husband wanted to ride along in the ambulance, Corey refused, afraid his crimes would be exposed. He told the man that hospital rules didn't allow family members to ride in emergency vehicles, otherwise they could lose their jobs. Inside the ambulance, the simple-minded Jeffrey nervously asked the woman a few questions about her medical history. The woman had no reason to doubt them. After confirming she had no infectious diseases, Jeffrey comforted her gently while secretly putting a sleeping gas into her oxygen mask. As soon as the woman lost consciousness, the brothers began their grim work. However, because the dosage of the anesthetic wasn't enough, the woman soon woke up and started screaming in panic. Once the operation was finished, Corey contacted the buyer and sold the organs for a large sum of money. The brothers made a fortune from this evil trade. A few days later, 3 young women came to the forest to camp, but not long after, one of them, Cindy, accidentally twisted her ankle. Her friends checked her injury and realized it was serious. She could barely walk. If they wanted to get back to their car, it would take at least 2 hours. After a quick discussion, they had no choice but to call for an ambulance. Unfortunately, their distress signal was intercepted by Corey. That night, the brothers arrived at the scene. Seeing 3 people there surprised them both if things went wrong. Their cover would be blown. Corey pretended to examine Cindy's ankle and said her injury needed an X-ray at the hospital. Cindy wanted her friends to ride along with her, but Jeffrey quickly stopped them, saying their ambulance wasn't allowed to carry extra passengers, or they'd lose their jobs. Her friends reluctantly agreed and decided to walk back to get their car, leaving Cindy to ride alone. Inside the ambulance, Jeffrey once again used the oxygen mask to make Cindy unconscious. Back at their secret underground hideout, the brothers cut off Cindy's clothes, preparing to harvest her organs. But after staring at her for a while, Corey froze. Cindy looked just like his ex-girlfriend, Kylie. Jeffrey noticed and told Corey to keep her alive for now and observe her for a while. Corey agreed. Before long, Cindy woke up from unconsciousness. When she realized she was surrounded by darkness, she was terrified. Meanwhile, Corey watched from the surveillance room and decided to bring her food as an excuse to get close to her. When Cindy refused him, Corey got angry and threatened her, saying resistance was useless. He told her he'd starve her for a few days to teach her a lesson, then turned and left. That evening, Corey filled the secret room with gas to make Cindy lose consciousness. Later that night, he assaulted her. The next morning, Jeffrey came to check on Cindy's condition, but Cindy misunderstood and kicked him hard, thinking he wanted to hurt her too. Jeffrey stammered, explaining he only wanted to check her injury, but Cindy thought they were working together and told him to get out. After Jeffrey left, the starving Cindy grabbed the food from the floor and began to eat. Watching from the monitor, Corey smirked. He believed she would eventually give in. To make sure Cindy could never escape, Corey came to the secret room again, pretending he wanted to treat her injured leg. Cindy didn't trust him but had no choice except to agree reluctantly.
No!
Jeffrey, who saw how his brother was tormenting Cindy, felt heartbroken. Back in his room, he pulled out an old photo of the 3 of them together. Just then, Corey walked in. Seeing Jeffrey looking at the photo, Corey sat down, and the 2 brothers talked again. Corey admitted that Cindy really did look like Kylie, but said she wasn't her and that he just wanted to have some fun. He warned Jeffrey that they couldn't let her escape, or they'd both be exposed. Then Corey left the room. Jeffrey sat there, lost in memories. It turned out that both brothers had once fallen in love with Kylie, but later, Corey abandoned her for another woman. Heartbroken, Kylie found comfort in Jeffrey, and the 2 slowly fell for each other. Sadly, their time together didn't last long. Kylie was diagnosed with cancer and passed away in the hospital. The next day, When Corey brought Cindy her meal, she asked when they would let her go. She still didn't know that she was only alive because she looked like Corey's late girlfriend. Cindy told Corey she didn't believe she'd be trapped there forever, she would find a way to escape. She planned to use Jeffrey as her way out. Corey sneered and said the bond between him and his brother was unbreakable, so she shouldn't even try. Then he walked away. That night, Jeffrey went to bring Cindy some food. Cindy used her charm to manipulate him, and surprisingly, it worked. Jeffrey was moved and felt something stir deep inside, the same warmth Kylie once gave him. Embarrassed and flustered, Jeffrey ran out of the room, watching from the surveillance screen. Corey grew furious. He told Jeffrey to arrange a bath for Cindy, saying she was filthy. Excited, Jeffrey returned to the secret room carrying a bucket. Cindy realized he had feelings for her and asked him to wash her back. Seeing her face and gestures so similar to Kylie's, Jeffrey completely fell for her. At that moment, Cindy stared at the surveillance camera and told Corey she would make his brother turn against him. Seeing that, Corey finally began to worry. The next day, Jeffrey decided to cook a meal for Cindy. But when Corey saw this, he told Jeffrey it was time to get rid of her, she'd already been there too long. Still, before the operation, they needed to record her medical history. Though Jeffrey didn't want to, he had no choice but to agree. Corey entered the basement room. He quickly examined Cindy's blood type and other basic information, then wrote everything down. After finishing the record, Corey wanted to take advantage of Cindy again, but this time, Cindy didn't resist. Instead, she seemed to go along with it. Unexpectedly, Corey felt uncomfortable and left the room after putting his pants back on. When Corey left, Jeffrey came in to clean up the dishes, but Cindy stopped him, asking him to stay and talk with her. She knew Jeffrey was starting to have feelings for her. The naive Jeffrey told her everything. He said Cindy looked exactly like their ex-girlfriend, Kylie. That's when Cindy finally understood why they hadn't killed her. She was even more shocked after seeing Kylie's photo, because they looked almost identical. At that moment, Corey noticed through the security monitor that Cindy and Jeffrey were getting close. He began to suspect that Cindy might use Jeffrey to escape. Cindy then told Jeffrey she wanted to take another shower and asked him to fetch some water. When Jeffrey went back inside to get it, Corey suddenly appeared beside him. Seeing how close Jeffrey and Cindy had become, Corey warned his brother not to be fooled by her. Jeffrey got angry and told Corey not to hurt Cindy again. He said he truly liked her and begged him not to do anything to her. Later, Jeffrey returned to the basement and got intimate with Cindy again. When Cindy felt the time was right, she started thinking about escaping. She told Jeffrey she wanted to run away with him, to leave this terrifying place behind. As they were planning their escape, Corey suddenly burst in. He interrupted their secret conversation. He told Jeffrey to get up and get back to work. Then he said he had intercepted a new target. Soon after, the two brothers went into the forest. They caught a wounded boy and brought him back to the basement. To teach Cindy a lesson, Corey decided to end the boy's life right in front of her. He knocked Cindy down and tied her up. He wanted her to watch everything happen with her own eyes. Seeing the horrifying scene before her, Cindy begged Jeffrey to stop him and spare the boy, but neither of them seemed to hear her cries. When everything was over, Jeffrey carried the boy's body away. Witnessing the entire process, Cindy trembled uncontrollably in fear. Corey then warned her not to try anything clever again, otherwise, she'd end up just like the boy. This was his warning to her. That night, after cleaning up the body, Jeffrey returned to the basement. Seeing Cindy ignore him, Jeffrey quickly apologized. He said everything that happened during the day was arranged by his brother and he couldn't stop it. Cindy didn't want to hear his excuses. She only wanted to leave with him as soon as possible. Jeffrey, deeply swayed by her words, agreed. But before leaving, he needed to distract Corey. Otherwise, it would be impossible to escape. What they didn't know was that Corey had been listening to their entire conversation through the surveillance feed. Soon, Jeffrey went to find Corey, planning to send him out of the house so he could sneak away with Cindy. But Corey said he wouldn't harm Cindy anymore. He even claimed he wanted to live with her. After all, she looked so much like Kylie that he couldn't bring himself to hurt her. Hearing this, Jeffrey was overjoyed. Corey said he wanted to make some dessert for Cindy to lighten the mood, but when he started preparing the ingredients, he realized they were out of raisins. Wanting to keep Cindy around, Jeffrey offered to go into town to buy some. After Jeffrey left, Corey entered the basement holding a tube filled with knockout gas. He planned to end Cindy's life while his brother was away. At that moment, Corey revealed a chilling secret to Cindy. Kylie hadn't died of cancer at all. She was poisoned slowly by him. Corey admitted he couldn't stand seeing his brother with the woman he liked. And now, it was happening all over again. So today, he said, Cindy had to die too. Hearing that, Cindy cursed him in rage. Corey said nothing more and turned on the gas valve. Within moments, Cindy lost consciousness. When she passed out, Corey took a needle and thread and sewed her mouth shut. Just as he finished, Jeffrey returned home. The moment he saw what had happened, his heart broke. Corey tried to explain that Cindy had been using him to escape, but Jeffrey refused to believe it. He tried to remove the stitches from her mouth, and the two brothers began to fight. In his fury, Jeffrey struck Corey unconscious. Seeing Corey down, Jeffrey quickly removed all the stitches from Cindy's mouth and body.
That's me! What did you do? Again!
But as he turned to get something to clean her wounds, Cindy grabbed an oxygen tank nearby and knocked Jeffrey out cold. After being imprisoned for countless days, Cindy finally escaped from the underground basement. When the brothers regained consciousness, Jeffrey was filled with regret. He finally realized Cindy had been deceiving him all along. Corey comforted his brother, saying they would have other chances to find new victims. To avoid drawing attention, the two stayed quiet for an entire year, but a year later, they started hunting again. One day, as they were chatting, the control center sent a message. A patient had twisted her ankle somewhere deep in the forest. The brothers heard it wasn't far away and drove there immediately. When they arrived at the location, they saw a young woman leaning against a tree. As usual, Corey began to examine her injury, but these two girls turned out to be Cindy's best friends. After shocking them unconscious, Cindy appeared and brought the brothers back to their own basement. She tied them up tightly. Looking at them, Cindy mocked them, saying she wanted them to suffer worse than death. She wanted Jeffrey to watch as she dealt with Corey. Corey laughed coldly and taunted her, saying she didn't have the courage to do it. Cindy smiled back and said she didn't need to, because over the past year, she had found many families of the people they had harmed. Even if she didn't lift a finger, those families would never let them go. Hearing this, Corey finally began to panic. He begged Cindy to spare Jeffrey, claiming that everything was his fault alone. But Cindy and the families were beyond forgiveness. Just as they were about to take revenge, an alarm suddenly went off in the corner. Cindy turned to Corey and demanded to know what was happening. Corey used it as leverage, saying he'd only explain if she let Jeffrey go. Cindy grew impatient and stabbed him with a tool, but Corey still refused to talk. Left with no choice, Cindy turned toward Jeffrey. Just before she could strike, Corey finally broke down and spoke. He said it was the black market dealers who came to buy organs. Every time they arrived, they would trigger the alarm as a signal. After learning the truth, Cindy decided to check it out herself. Before leaving, she told the victims' families not to do anything until she returned. Outside, she met the dealer waiting with a bag of cash. After thinking for a moment, she told him to wait there for an hour. When she returned, Cindy and the families removed Corey's organs together. At last, Corey received the punishment he deserved, and the organs taken from him were sold to the very same black market dealer.